Welcome to week 7 of English 333. Wow, week 7, the week before spring break. So this is just our regular little orientation stuff. I'm assuming that you have already or will very soon read the particular directions online under the weekly assignments tab on our WebCT Vista site. So there are 3 tasks this week, but two of the tasks, the first 2, have firm deadlines as opposed to the recommended ones. So please get those done by the deadlines. The reason that they have firm deadlines is because they all impact other class members, and so if you're late on doing your part of the work, then it makes it impossible for them to do their work. So it's a sort of equity kind of a thing. So be sure and get these things done by the time they're specified. So task 1. This is really simple. You just need to sign up for one of the 8 inquiry groups on the teaching of writing. Each group does the same thing, so there's no real differentiation among them. Some of you, I know from just reading the discussion boards and things like that, have histories with one another, working in other classes, etc. And so you may have particular people that you would like to work with. On the other hand, you may have particular people that you don't want to work with. So the sign-up sheets, if you haven't used those in WebCT before, are very simple. You're going to go on the main course content page. There's a folder there that says Inquiry into Teaching Writing. You're going to click on that. The very first item inside that folder is the sign-up sheet. I have it set up so that you can see who is in what group. So if you are looking for particular people to work with, you can see their names before you sign up and choose a group. So you need to do that by Tuesday. That's March 11th. And that's the first part of that task. The second part is that I'm going to ask you to look through 4 sets of readings that we'll be completing after spring break. And each set of readings consists of 4 articles. One article that's more of a research-based, more highly academic, or else at least more done from a more scientific research methodology. And then the other 3 are what's called teacher research, which is where practicing teachers do an inquiry project in their classes. They say something like, gee, I wonder what will happen if I do X with my children, and then they track what happens with it and look at the student work as evidence of the efficacy of the teaching practice that they're talking about. Okay, so after you sign up for an inquiry group, there's a discussion topic that will open up for you called inquiry group 1 or inquiry group say something like connections inquiry group 7 or whatever group number you've joined. And in that discussion topic area, what I'd like you to do is go in, read anything that anyone has posted before that. If you're the first one there, then good for you. But you need to post which set of readings you would like to read, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Each group will have 4 people in it, and each person will read a different set of readings. So in your group, you will read all of the articles, if that makes sense. Because all of you will be contributing. But you yourself will be responsible for reading 1 set of articles. So that's what you're doing in that discussion topic. You're posting, I got dibs on set 2 or something, whichever one you like. So you should look at the list of articles, prioritize that list. I like set number 1 best, set number 4 next, set number 3, and then set number 2 is my last choice. And then when you go to your discussion group, you'll look and see if anyone else has claimed the sets that you are, like the best. And if you don't, if they haven't, then you can take it. I'm just asking you to look at the titles of it, basically, to make your judgment. You can also, through the WebCT site, that same Inquiry into Teaching Writing, the readings are all available in PDF form, and so if you want to just look at, open each one of them up and read the first page or something, that might give you a clue about which ones you do or do not want to read. Okay. So task 2. This is a place where, because we're starting to do this little inquiry into how how writing can be taught in public schools in a way that benefits students. We should always start, anything that where you're like researching a subject, you should also always sort of gather your schema. Schema is just a fancy pants name for background knowledge. So you should gather your schema and figure out, ask yourself, what do I already know about this? So the way that we're going to do that is as a group is I'm going to ask you to write a blog entry. Big surprise there. And the blog entry is about an experience with the teaching of writing that you've had. Okay, so I want you to, before writing, sort of brainstorm a little bit. What do you remember about being taught how to write? And this can go from before you entered kindergarten to last semester if you want. It's the range is just completely up to you, and it doesn't have to be like positive experiences is the best thing ever. It can also be a negative experience that stopped you from writing or did something like that, made you feel anxious about your abilities to write. It could be anything like that, because what we're trying to gather is what we know already about what does, and as well as what doesn't work in the teaching of writing. Okay, so you're going to write a blog entry about it. You're going to tell us a story about a time when you were being taught to write and what happened. Okay. Now that one also has a firm deadline of Thursday. The reason why is because the third task is related to the second one. Okay, so the third task, getting us to the third task. The third task takes us back to the class wiki site, and on that site, what we're going to be doing is collecting some general points about the teaching of writing that are garnered from reading the other people in your group's blog entries that they just wrote. Okay, so the blog entries from task 2, where they were writing about an experience, you're going to read somebody else's, and if they tell a story about how this one teacher helped you love poetry and think of yourself as a poet by doing something, whatever it was, then the person who reads your blog is gonna try to sort of pull a generalization out of your entry. So at least one, maybe a couple of things like teaching writing works well when environment allows you to choose things that you want to write about or something, or sometimes having too much criticism on a particular piece of writing can shut a person down and make them not want to write anymore, or who knows. You'll figure them out as you're reading them. But so you're going to take those little sort of 1 or 2 sentence generalizations that you get from reading your group members or your group mates' weblog entries, and you're going to put those into the wiki under the schema, the group's schema. And there's instructions on the weekly assignment page about how to start that group schema page if it isn't already there. It's a very simple task. But so you'll get there, and either the word, group 4 schema will be a nice big blue hyperlink that you click on, and then you'll edit the page that's there. Or it won't be a blue hyperlink, and instead it will be the words with a little blue hyperlinked question mark at the end. If that's the case, you just click on the question mark, and the page will be created, and you'll be the first one that enters any data into it. Okay. So either way, just depends on whether you're the first one to do it or not. So, but you really can't do that task until Friday, just because the weblog postings have to be done. You have to give your group mates time to post their blogs so that you can read them and pull those ideas out of them. So remember, you're pulling the ideas not out of your own, but out of your group mates' blog entries. One other thing about this is that you want to make sure that you're not attributing this, I put down this stuff or whatever. It's a wiki is just a collaboratively written thing. So, okay, that's it.